we're supposed to look. Don't leave me out here.
We aren't doing anything. I know what it looks like, but we were having a meeting. And there was this noise out in the hallway. Grenade!
Welcome to Classic Game Room. The original Red Faction, released in 2001, is one of my favorite video games ever created, definitely one of the best first-person shooters, and in 2002, when the sequel was released, I was disappointed. But since then, I've changed my mind. Is it because I found the cheat code so I can do this? Which never gets old. Is it the power of geomod technology? Is it because they just don't make games like this anymore? Or has enough time passed that I'm just not expecting a clone of Red Faction 1? Well, let's find out in the review of Red Faction 2 for the PlayStation 2.
Ooh, visitor, visitor. I'm safe down here.
It's not very often that I change my mind so drastically, but I was extremely disappointed when I first purchased Red Faction 2 in 2002 when it was new, and the fact is, time has done this game a lot of good for all of the reasons I mentioned. They don't make games like this anymore.
Do not run on the platform.
Most games these days throw sense of humor out the window in favor of multiplayer and a false sense of hardcoredness. The geomod technology rocks, and when I picked this game up and played it a decade later, I was not expecting a clone of Red Faction 1.
Your safety is our concern. Please mind the gap.
This has a different style. It's a different game. It's Red Faction 2, which is, to be clear, not as good as Red Faction 1, but it's still awesome. However, after the masterpiece of Red Faction 1, it's easy to see where I was turned off after the first couple levels in this game, which really aren't that good. Red Faction 2 is one of these games that doesn't really pick up the pace and get its style until about halfway through the game. And that's kind of opposite of most games these days. You usually get a lot of the good stuff up front, and then it feels repetitive and boring later in the game, as you have that annoying 5-hour slug through all the hardest enemies of the game until you get to the end boss through a giant tunnel or something.
In effect, do not run on the platform.
Not with Red Faction 2. This game will keep you on your toes and gets extremely difficult in the last several levels, but also manages to keep you laughing the entire time, and that's one of its key selling points.
I command you to surrender!
It's hysterical. I feel like I betrayed myself 10 years ago. But this time around, I gave the game more of a chance. The first couple levels are a bit sloppy. The first level is downright terrible, it's easy to get lost in the sewers, and most of the visuals are kind of dark and muddy. But once you get through the sewers, and through the train bridge and the tank level, Red Faction 2 becomes Red Faction worthy.
Must you do things the hard way, Elvis?
The game has the voices of Jason Statham and Lance Henriksen, and even though the plot is ridiculous, you'll want to keep playing because it's just downright fun. Now, they don't use the geomod technology as well in this game as they do in the first one. Yes, you can blow your way through some walls here and there, but frequently it's not clear when you're supposed to do that. They didn't use the geomod as well as they could have, but it's nice to see they've kept it around for the other games, Red Faction Guerrilla and Red Faction Armageddon.
Shot.
Red Faction 2 is from THQ and Volition, the same people who bring you games like Saints Row 3. And it kind of goes without saying that it's nice to see that humor and outrageous gameplay continues to live on in their work.
Great work, guys. Remember, the Red Faction is behind you. Echo, make yourself useful. Shut up.
See that shot?
Quit bragging. Keep firing.
What's surprising is that THQ hasn't given Red Faction and Red Faction 2 the re-release HD treatment like a lot of other games such as the Devil May Cry series, God of War, and Metal Gear Solid. They're easily good enough to warrant remastering and replaying. And if you still have your PlayStation 2 and a couple bucks handy, you can pick up both games really cheap these days, and they're some of the best first-person shooters that you'll ever play. In addition to just being funny, Red Faction 2 has a great single-player campaign, packs a lot of challenge. There's loads of weapons, and it even has local multiplayer, so you can blow your friends up. Red Faction 2 is a really fun game with a great single-player campaign, something so many games are missing these days. I highly, highly recommend it, even if I wouldn't have 10 years ago.